Welcome to Network TV, where innovation meets inspiration. I'm your host, David Mabee, and today we've got an episode packed with incredible minds shaping the future right here in North Central Washington. For over 23 years, NCW Tech Alliance has been at the forefront of highlighting groundbreaking talent and innovation in our region. This season, we're turning our focus to the remarkable innovators right here in North Central Washington, where creativity thrives in our K-12 classrooms, pushes boundaries in college labs, and fuels the growth of startups and established tech companies alike. In our first segment, you won't want to miss our conversation with Nathan Holterhoff, a trailblazing graduate student at the University of Washington who grew up right here in Wenatchee. Nathan's passion for STEM has led him to be a key player in the Smarter Irrigation System project. But it's not just about water. Nathan will take us behind the scenes on how he's blending sensor data with satellite models to revolutionize efficiency. Plus, he'll share what drives him toward a PhD in energy systems and the fascinating challenges he's faced along the way. His story is one of ingenuity, perseverance, and a vision for a more sustainable future. Later in the show, we'll welcome Stacie De Mestre, Director of Economic Development and Capital Projects, and Commissioner JC Baldwin, current Secretary at Chelan Douglas Regional Port Authority. JC, a founding member, former board member of GWADA, now NCW Tech Alliance, and the winner of our 2001 Entrepreneur of the Year Award at our Innovator Awards, will discuss the biggest challenges she's seen as an entrepreneur in our region. We'll get the scoop on the Trades District Initiative, what it means for local entrepreneurs, businesses, and job creation. JC will also share her perspective on overcoming the biggest entrepreneurial challenges in our region. It's going to be an inspiring, knowledge-packed episode with stories of perseverance, innovation, and bold vision. So grab a seat and stay with us because Network TV is about to show you what makes our region so special. We'll be right back. Welcome to Network TV. I want to introduce you to Nathan Holterhoff, a graduate student at the University of Washington, making some waves in STEM education. Nathan, how are you doing this morning?
It's been great. It was a beautiful drive over. The sun was out and the pass was open.
Perfect. Well, I want to thank you for being on. I want to know, where did you first discover your passion for STEM education?
I had always been good at math in elementary school, but it really came in high school. I had my teacher at the River Academy, well, one of my teachers at the River Academy, Mrs. Baker, said you should, heavily influencing that, take the TEALS program. The TEALS program teaches computer science in schools. I was taught by some Microsoft engineers. They actually volunteered their time to teach us computer science my freshman and senior year.
Wow, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. And you were saying off camera that those were pretty early in the morning?
Yeah, so 7 a.m. It was, so I did sports and I did a zero period. So I'd go from 7 a.m. to about 5:30 every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
it's been fun.
Looks like it's working for you now. Can you describe your role and contributions to the Smarter Irrigation System project that you were working on at the University of Washington?
Yeah, so that was a capstone project that I participated in as accumulation for my electrical engineering studies. I was in charge of designing placement of the sensor across UW campus and communicating with stakeholders about where we're planning on putting these sensors, what they're collecting, and how the data can be used. So a part of implementation was I'd place them. We got permission to dig holes across campus, which was shocking. And after that, we were able to, and so we take the data from those sensors and then process them to figure out how much water was being used to keep the grass green.
Oh, wow.
So I worked on a bit of placement algorithms along which is data processing and collecting for them.
So was that designed to show them that they should be more water mindful, or was that to just kind of get a gauge of how much water the university was using?
It was to be more water mindful. So the principal project was by Professor Hussein in the Civil and Environmental Engineering Department. He came to the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department to get people who knew sensors and who knew networks. Yeah. So it was me and two other seniors in engineering. We were trying to overall reduce the usage of water because we spend upwards of $300,000 a year on keeping the grass green and the plants colorful. And so it was like that, to be sustainable and net zero, we needed to definitely reduce that.
And what I'm curious, were you guys able to reduce it? And do you remember what the amount was, or any cost savings that you could tell us?
We're piloting that this year. So this first year is I'm still in contact with the professor quite regularly, but we're allowing gardeners and irrigation folks at the university to view their usage and try to map their water usage so that they're not overwatering. We don't have any number savings yet, just because the system went online back in June.
Oh wow, that's amazing though. So how's your involvement with the SEAL and your research on energy efficiency influenced your approach to engineering projects?
SEAL has been very beneficial. So if anybody doesn't know, SEAL is the Sensors, Energy, and Automation Laboratory at UW. And I'd actually like to involve the ITAC in it, which is the Industrial Training and Assessment Center. It's ran through SEAL. So we provide energy audits to small and medium scale manufacturers across Washington and the greater Northwest. I was actually in Alaska 2 weeks ago for it, providing energy manufacturers up there. But it's taught me, one, how to use engineering practices to solve solutions in creative and innovative ways, as well as communicating with individuals about how they can reduce their carbon footprint and their overall costs. Because there's two aspects, is they want to save money, but we also want a greener planet. And so it's this balance of like what's economically feasible and what's beneficial. So that's been a great balancing act. It's taught me how to write grant applications, which you don't realize how much, when I first went into college, like, oh, I want to do any writing. That was completely wrong. I do more writing than I do calculations sometimes.
Yeah, we know all about the grant writing process as a nonprofit. I want to know then, what excites you most about these projects? What lights your fire about working with these different STEM projects?
I just like seeing the cutting edge of technology, and then how can I make it benefit to the greater world. My work through SEAL and ITAC have both been been pivotal. I've worked with 20 plus companies to help reduce their carbon footprint, and then I also get help funding them. So we're able to provide grant funding for these companies. So I'm promoting research projects that I like to pursue. Hopefully we partner with companies to implement. I'm doing sensor system research. I mean, you can tell from my capstone, but I'm trying to focus on how can sensor systems improve efficiency and productivity in workplaces.
That's amazing. Can you share a memorable experience from your time working on the Washington SuperBike project, and tell us a little bit about that project?
Oh, that was super fun. So that was, before I had participated in any research, I applied and joined Washington SuperBike. It was to build an electric motorcycle to complete in racing. I love motorcycles, so it was a natural fit. It was, I think, designing the battery system. I didn't realize how much work went into it. We got a new project where we're completely redesigning our battery. So you're dealing with 600 volt DC. So it's a giant ion lithium battery, and we've all heard the stories about lithium batteries kind of like to explode. Our job is to make sure it didn't. And so we're designing ways of charging and discharging in effective ways while trying to maintain the bike's high speed. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to ride the bike, but I've been talking to people past, and it sounds like they got it running based on the work we did.
Nice. Any idea how fast it went?
I think they got up to 30.
Okay.
So there's the third part is like college doesn't necessarily love us putting an undergrad on a bicycle, on a motorcycle, and telling them to go race.
Yeah, right. A little bit of thing called I can't imagine the department not being too happy with that. What motivated you to pursue a graduate program and eventually aim a PhD in engineering systems?
A lot of the professors I worked with, a lot of the teaching professors, so there's kind of two types of professors at UW that I work with commonly. There's research, well, there's three, but research you don't really interact with. They're only employed to perform research on behalf of the university. Associate professors or full tenured professors do research and teaching as part of their agreement, and then teaching professors. I saw the teaching professors really do a great job of conveying strong STEM concepts to me and academic concepts that really allowed that as like, oh, I'm really interested in this and I want to help educate the next generation of engineers. But I want to pursue more towards a tenure track professor, at least so far. That could always change, but
right.
It's because I want to help train the next generation of engineers and leaders in this field, just as they've done for me. But I'd also like to still participate in innovation.
I was going to say, so if you had one like dream project you could work on to try to make them more efficient, what would that be?
It'd probably be environmental sensing. So that's a very broad topic. I'm actually working on a project right now where we're detecting air leaks in compressed air systems and trying to apply it to gas systems, just so that they waste a lot of energy in manufacturing. It's kind of unknown to a lot of people until they're like, oh, 30% of your compressed air is lost to leaks. So we want to remedy that and then stem into other ways of providing sensors around industrial facilities. So it's kind of open up, but it's just like I really want to do network sensors.
Yeah. So if you had somebody curious about STEM education or maybe shy about getting into it, what's something that you would convey that, or something you heard back in your time that got you motivated to do it?
It was definitely, they didn't lie to me. It said it would be difficult. And it's not easy. The math's not easy. A lot of people don't continue on even at like first calculus. It's fundamental to what I do every day. And that was hard, but keep working through it, because at the end, one, you use simplified equations that you don't need to recalculate. But two, is you get to see the fruits of your labor at the end. And it's really cool seeing a product start from the beginning and then come towards the end. And that's why I've enjoyed watching engineers, is because unlike scientists, where a lot of times you're only doing theoretical, I see products, I see innovations at the end of my time. And I've seen how my professors have done the same thing.
Gotcha. And then let's see here. What's you had some satellite-based models with your integrated sensors?
Yeah, I completely forgot to mention that as part. So NASA, through their there's a bunch of 4-letter acronyms and all this that's like forgetting. But anyways, they have satellite sensors that are able to measure soil moisture. And they're using that to define drought regions. So the innovation for the sensor project was actually using that system in Bangladesh to help farmers. Oh, wow. The professor I worked with is originally from Bangladesh, and he wanted to help his home community. And so overall, that project's helped reduce water usage and increase crop yields by 20% in some areas. At least that's what the recent reports had said.
Yeah.
But we're trying to integrate that for UW campus, which is not as large. And so you got a lot of small areas that can't be used with satellites, and you got a lot of concrete that really mess with the data.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to make that data accurate from 30 by 30 meter squares down to 1 by 1 meter squares.
Wow. Mm-hmm. You forgot about a little company called NASA. Well, that's going to do it for our time here, this segment. I want to thank you, Nathan, for coming on. Thank you. It's amazing to hear this, how you got motivated by teachers here locally, but now how you're taking that and spreading it over to reach kids of the next generation. So wish you all the best. We look forward to seeing you at the Innovator Awards, and thank you for joining us. And stay tuned. We'll be right back on Network TV. And welcome back. I'd like to introduce you to Stacie De Mestre, Director of Economic Development and Capital Project, and Commissioner JC Baldwin, current Secretary at Chelan Douglas Regional Port Authority. JC, you're also a founding member and former board member of GWADA, which is now NCW Tech Alliance. So welcome. How are you guys doing today?
Thank you. We're doing really well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We're great.
No problem. I want to start with you, JC, because you were the first winner of our Entrepreneur of the Year award in 2001. And a past board member. What's been the biggest challenge you've seen as an entrepreneur in our valley?
Well, it's a lot different than it was 25 years ago. Put it that way. It's I think the challenge back then and through the last couple of decades has just been access to resources, knowing where to go to get help to get your business to even just started, or whether or not you should even start your business. So over the past few decades, we've had opportunities with organizations like NCW Tech, the Chamber, the Port District certainly, the SBDC. There are more resources available to small businesses now and entrepreneurs to help them make decisions, and good, smart decisions and choices.
Yeah, and so now you've transitioned. You've been with the Chelan Douglas Regional Port Authority for a while now, but what is the mission of that, and how does that kind of tie in with your goal as an entrepreneur?
Well, interestingly enough, I was just sharing this with Stacie. When I first started, I really didn't have a clue even what a port district was. And you think of ports as being near water and shipping and cargoes and all those other things, and which they are. But in communities like ours, they're the lead economic development agencies. They're, in most cases, the associate development organizations for their communities, and they're there to help businesses grow and relocate to our communities, and also to retain jobs in our communities.
And Stacie, I'll ask you, what is it? You guys have a pretty big project going on. Right? What is the Trade District project? Can you elaborate on that a little bit? And JC, you can chime in afterwards if you'd like as well to add in.
Sure. It is an adaptive reuse of, right now we're just doing 12 buildings. They were originally built to do Bitcoin mining, and we were actually gifted them in a bankruptcy settlement. And we had two options. We could tear them down or we could try and reuse them. So we stood back and we did a feasibility study, and we found that there's a real shortage in small business production space in our valley. And that means, spaces ranging from 1,000 to 2,000 square feet. So we decided to, I guess what we're calling is make lemonade from lemons. And right now we are repurposing the buildings. We are expanding their footprints. They were actually only 600 square feet to start with.
Oh, wow.
So we'll end up this spring with 12 buildings ranging from 1,500 square feet to 2,200 square feet. And we were able to cobble together a lot of funding for this project. And in doing so, our largest funding source is the EDA, and they asked us to run an incubator program. And so what that means is we can offer reduced rent for small businesses who are just starting up. And in return, they enter into a program where we offer them a variety of resources so that we can help them be successful.
Wow. So if I get this right, then JC, you can answer this. So then you're helping small businesses get going with these incubator projects?
Yes, exactly. And you can imagine how satisfying that is for an entrepreneur to be able to do that and to help others have those opportunities, particularly in underserved communities.
Yeah, and so where is, so if somebody didn't know, where is this Trades District located at? And when's the plan on opening it up?
The Trades District is located in the Pangbourne Airport Business Park, which is just the opposite side of the airport from the commercial terminal. We're currently under construction and planning to be open in March or April of 2025. And we hope to start accepting applications for tenants in November.
This November, potential tenants can apply.
Yep.
And so for a potential tenant, what would be some of the criteria, or is any of that out there yet, of what you're kind of looking for in this incubator program?
That's a good question, isn't it? There is. Oh gosh, help me remember, Stacie. They have to have their, okay, help me remember.
So we set some initial criteria. We're hoping that we got it right to start with, but mainly we're looking for businesses who have been in business under 5 years,
Right.
Okay.
with fewer than 10 employees, annual revenue of less than $250,000, and businesses who currently don't have a see storefront.
There you go.
Gotcha.
Thank you. I went completely blank on that.
No, it's okay. It's well. So then I want to know: is there a long-term goal then, or a strategy for once these businesses have outgrown that spot to help them find other spots, or is this what's that process look like?
It's an incubator.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for people to grow and move out. And I am again trying to remember. Was it 5 years?
It is 5 years. People they can stay after 5 years. Hopefully they've grown and they need a larger space. But if they stay, we adjust them up to market rate rent.
And to say we hope to have resources available to these businesses to help them grow and move beyond the incubator period, and we're working with some community partners on that.
I'm curious, will there be any jobs created to help at the plant, the incubation plant, or is it on them to, like each business has their own little pod and they're responsible for that, or is this also creating more jobs for our community?
Well, the hope is that as these businesses grow, they're hiring more people, and so that's one path for creating more jobs in our communities. And then once they're launched out of this space and into another space, they will continue with that process. So
yeah. And JC, you're as an entrepreneur, I'm assuming this. I mean, for me, this sounds like a win-win for everybody because as an entrepreneur, one of the first things you got to think of is around here rent, or getting that going. So this seems like a
yes, and it's graduated. It'll be a graduated rent structure that it'll be available to anybody who's interested in applying. It's part of the application process. We'll work with them on that. But yeah, it is. There isn't a lot available for a small space, particularly industrial type space. So we really feel that we're meeting a need here with the Trades District.
And how will the Trades District contribute to create sustainable jobs in our region? Is that?
Stacie, you want to try that one?
Well, I mean, I think JC's touched on a little bit of just giving people a place to start. we often hear about people working out of their cars or their garage or a storage unit, and I mean, those are not large spaces. So by giving them a building to grow into, they'll create more space for other employees, but also the business resources that we'll be providing. It'll help these people become better business owners. We're looking at, well, we are partnering with the SBDC. They'll help create a business plan. They can give some financial advice. They can also help on the hiring and human resource part. You know, a lot of times people start a business because they specialize in that trade or that line of business, but maybe they're not the best at managing finances or people. And so we're really hoping that we can help them grow and educate them in those areas.
And there was a time when some of our younger community members would just want to leave our valley to go and build their careers and build their wealth. I think now they're wanting to stay here. And so I think this is an opportunity for folks that have grown up in this valley to have an alternative to leaving the area and follow maybe a more vocational path and stay in our communities.
So then, looking forward to the future, what else excites you about our region and maybe some opportunities that this might provide you guys to offer to bring in more people or to have more people stick around to create jobs for themselves or move on?
Well, you know, we have a lot going on with data centers moving into our communities, and there are cottage industries, for lack of a better term, that follow data centers. And perhaps there'll be an entrepreneurial spark in somebody that wants to come in and meet that need and maybe start off in our trades district, you know, and rapidly grow into something else and then make a space for another business to do the same thing. So
yeah, I mean, this has been exciting, and this region has just, the growth is happening here, and there's so many exciting things here, and I'm glad you guys are providing young entrepreneurs a way to grow and start that journey. As you can tell, our time is up here. This just flew by. I want to thank Stacie and JC for being on today. Tune in again next week for another episode of Network TV, and we'll see you next week.